All right, all right, all right. Y'all can go ahead and share it to your page. If you go to,
All right, here we go. Share.
you see us. There we go.
We live. I'm just gonna type we live. You got the countdown going. Warren, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Like,
Uh,
Muted y'all again. Give me just a second. Uh,
hey,
hey, yo, it's your boy Sam Duke,
it's your man Tell McHale.
it's your boy Warren P.
and you are listening to another great episode of You
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 Good,
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 Bruh?
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 Hey, man, look, I gotta be honest with y'all today. Today is a very emotional day for me. I I put my children on the school bus today, man.
Oh my God.
I put
That's what's
my
up.
kids on the school bus, and I was telling Warren earlier. Uh, it was it was the weirdest thing because they just grow so fast, and you remember when they was just born,
Right.
and you didn't necessarily you hadn't seen. You just didn't see this coming. Let's put it this way: you didn't see it coming as fast as it came, and it was crazy because I put them on the bus. They didn't even look back, bro.
Yeah,
they, they,
that's right.
they didn't
That's
Strong,
even
right.
look.
independent.
Right, they didn't even look back. I ain't gonna lie. I was a little. I felt a certain type of way about that.
You're a little,
And,
little
and,
smoldering.
bruh. And so I walked away. I walked away. I mean, the bus pulled off. I didn't walk away. The bus
Yeah,
pulled off, and,
and left
and
you.
my and it's funny because I think my wife was already like kind of tearing up or whatever, and
Yeah.
she asked me, she's like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "God damn it, I am crying."
My boy was in the moment.
I was I was caught up in a moment, man.
Man, you love them babies.
I,
I recall that. I remember and I did. I tried to tough through it too.
did you,
My
bruh?
throat was
Me,
so tight, bro, I could barely
bruh,
breathe.
bruh. I tried. I didn't even, to be honest with you, Mikhail. It was one of those experiences where I didn't realize I was crying until my wife said something.
Wow.
Like I didn't know, like it was like a like my I was trying it from my standpoint. Like I told her, my kids was like, "You're gonna be the first one crying when we get on that school bus." They both said it. You're gonna be the first one crying. And I turned around and it's just like my eyes were just watering, bro. And I was just like, this is it's like my body knew, like, hey,
Well,
your kids are going.
that's what crying is. It's the
Yeah.
release of endorphins into your system to alleviate the stress. Because I mean, we're charged with protecting our kids, and we're putting them on a bus full of other kids. You don't know what you know kind of background those kids have with a stranger
Right.
that you've never rode in a car with before. You just like, hey, take, and there's no seatbelts, so take my kids.
Man, what?
And
No seat belts. I don't know, man. It was just
Hey,
it.
the bus was like Lord of the Flies.
Oh, trust me, man. I understand that. Like I remember, some really crazy things happening on the school bus back when I was
Say
younger,
that
man.
part.
But yeah, I
Thanks,
mean,
Doc.
but thank you guys for joining us today. I think when we talk about emotional burdens, that was just my emotional burden for today,
Mm.
and I think our conversations today is going to be surrounding the different types of emotional burdens that men kind of come face to face with, that I mean, just people come face to face with, but we're going to speak from a man's perspective about different things that we've encountered, and different mental burdens that we've kind of taken, well, these life burdens that end up potentially maybe being mental burdens, or what all those type of things that we kind of carry. And so we just wanted to start off by saying, that's what we're talking about today. That's what our discussion is about. Who would like to jump in and first discuss things that life throw at us?
First, I would like to just discuss how being a man, well, let me not even say being a man, being a person who looks out for a lot of people. And I don't mean financially, I mean like emotional, being that person that people can talk to, a person that people can trust, a person that, they can call you for being uplifted, or if they're going through a difficult time, they know you'll be there for them. How that is a gift and a curse at times. I know a lot of us want to be the best man we can be, and being the best man is different for each individual. For me, most of y'all know my background. Lost my mom at an early age. Father wasn't in the best of spirits. We butted heads for a very long time. So I had my big brother who's always been there for me. So for me growing up, it was how my older brother looked out for me. That's how I wanted to be with any family member, any friend. I wanted to pay back all the love that he showed me to the rest of the world. That's what determined to me as being like a great man, a great person. But with that, though, there are a lot of challenges that comes with that. And we'll dive into a little bit later, but that's just my perspective. Let Mikhail speak.
Brother, I was completely into what you were saying. I was like, okay, his archetype was his brother, and his brother has always been there. And I'm just like, well, how does that articulate to how you experience the world? Like, if your brother was there for you in the face of what I could call chaos, you going back and forth with your pops, what does that mean from your perspective? Like, do you find yourself in the middle of chaos trying to mediate, or trying to be that guy that people call to solve?
No, I guess you can say that, because take it before my mother got sick. My brother and my dad used to butt heads all the time. So I saw my mom be a mediator between the two. And when she passed, it got even a lot worse between the two. They had went years without talking to each other at a certain point. And I would always be like the middle person to communicate on each side. I remember times when my brother, like, say he would leave the house, and my dad would be like, if he comes over here, don't let him in.
Wow.
And, I'm a young child, so I'm put in the middle of, do I keep my brother outside the house, or do I have to deal with my dad if I bring my brother back inside the house?
Well, that fucks with you as a kid, man. That would give me problems. I don't know about you. That would give me real issues.
That's unfair.
And it was like, I can remember a time my brother and my dad got into it. He quote unquote kicked him out. And my brother came back to the house, and I was like, yo, I can't let you in. He's like, but bro, I'm hungry. Now, I remember making him food and handing it to him outside, because it was just like, I didn't know what to do, but I couldn't let my brother starve. I knew, he had a place where he could stay, possibly, but, I was doing the best I could. Because, my brother was kind of my protector in the house of my dad. If he wasn't around, and I had to deal with my dad. Like, when my brother moved, it was just, went off into the Navy. It was, me and Pops butting heads all the time. That's it's a lot of stories there, but that's a topic for another day. But in regards to me, just saying the whole that kind of prep me, like being there for my brother and my dad after my mom passed, because to them it's like you remind me so much of your mom. So that you add that combination along with me trying to pay homage to my brother for him looking out for me and protecting me in certain situations. As I grew older, I did that with everybody. Seeing death at an early age, I always wanted to speak life into people because you never know when death will come knocking at your door. So I
True.
wanted you to know, hey, we gonna speak life. If death comes, it comes. But until it comes, I'm gonna speak life into your situation. I'm gonna speak life into your issue. Like if somebody could tell me, they have stage 4 cancer, I'm always gonna be on the side of, hey, we can fight through this. And if death comes, it comes. But until then, we keep fighting. I'm optimistic. I know that's kind of weird seeing death at an early age, but for me, it's just like, hey, I seen my mom fight for 2 years straight and maybe lost confidence 1 or 2 times, but until she was incoherent, she believed that she was going to get out that situation. So who am I, even though it didn't work out, to not hold that same fight and have that same attitude?
I mean,
So
well, I was going to say it's nothing wrong with honoring your mother's fight, by and we take from our parents, right? We learn how to face life through some of the challenges our parents face. And it's like, even if you're paying into the system with a positive message, as a therapist, I can tell you that takes a toll on you. When you're the caregiver, there's a heavier toll that you feel kind of guilty even dealing with it. You're like, well, hell, I'm not the one with stage 4, so why am I sitting up here feeling some type of way? Let me just keep paying into it. Like, how are you taking care of yourself independent of you speaking life into other people? Like, who fills your cup when you're pouring into other people?
right now, my wife, I'm blessed to have her. And I've always um taken, I guess, love and feeling better about myself by, I hate to sound cliche, by helping others. I mean that pours into me. It takes away, but it pours into me as well by when you stuck with somebody through a difficult time and they say to you afterwards, like, I really don't know where I'd be at if I didn't have you by my side. Or when shit looked dark, you know, I could call you and I could feel for a brief moment, feel better about my situation. So to me, it's like how we went last week when you played a message from Mark. And I ain't gonna front. I was teary eyed because, that's just one person. But if I reach one person and it made a change in their life in some way for the positive, I've done my job. All the work was and sacrifices was worth it. Not trying to sound like no superhero or anything, but that's just how I feel.
Okay, let's because I resonate with what you're saying. Like I think I'm one of those people as well. I mean, I'm sure Mikhail's one of those people as well. Like we're type of people that people come to with problems, issues. Sometimes it's not people that are close to us. For Mikhail, I'm sure sometimes it's total strangers. You know, um,
Yeah.
but I would say like when Mikhail was asking, like, how do you pour back into yourself? When you said, like, yeah, but doing that for other people pours back into me, I was just like, man, I want to say, I want to call it bullshit, but I want to call it bullshit because I have a wife and I know how my wife, like, she married me knowing that I was that person, right?
Mhm.
But as she gets to see me during my quiet moments. She kind of gets to see me when all of those things that are going on with myself and other people are weighing down on me. And she sometimes has to be the one to be like, yo, that's not your problem. You know what I'm saying? That's not your issue. That, you gotta, you gotta not necessarily, you can be there for somebody without holding on to everything that they got going on, right? And I think Mikhail is the one that told me this. It was like sometimes you're taking people's burdens, but you got to know how to carry them. If you don't know how to carry them, they can overtake you. And I'm just saying, like, how do you make sure that they don't overtake you? The things that you have going on, or the things that other people have going on, to bring it to you. How do you make sure those type of things don't overtake you?
To be honest, it's a 2-part answer. Weed, when it gets worse, weed. Sorry for the listeners.
When he travels to other states, not in the state.
When
he's in New York.
weed gives me a calming effect, and mentally, like I said, I'm wired a little crazy. If it doesn't kill me, like if it doesn't like hurt me physically, I know that I can battle through it. I can overcome it. I'm one of those people who are very optimistic. Like, okay, yeah, I feel sad now because I'm discussing it with this individual, but I know I'll get through it. It's not even happening to me, and I know this person will get through it. Like, that's my attitude, and it keeps me grounded. It doesn't make me feel as if I'm going through too much. Now, I can say there's one point in life to whereas like my wife really, really had to like step in and be that shoulder I could lean on and cry. Like, she's like, my wife has seen me cry. I'm a crier. I have no issue with crying. RIP to DMX. DMX, when I was a child, I seen him cry on stage, and I thought he was the realest N-word walking. So to see him cry, and I looked at him as like a superhuman, a thug, a gangster, all that, and could cry in front of a crowd of 10,000 plus. It gave me the empowerment that, you know what, Warren, it's okay to cry. Like, if you need to release that, but get back to your shit right after you cry, though. So to go back to the time that I was almost broken down by trying to quote unquote be a hero. I don't know if anybody watches All American, but I have a lot of Spencer in me.
We've talked about the show. So.
Yeah, we talked about Spencer, man. That's it.
Like I have some of that in me, but situation. My brother was going through it. Life actions. I won't put all this business out there.
Sure.
A close friend of mine had passed, and before he passed, it was right after he passed, 2 or 3 months after Kobe died. And for people that know me, like, Kobe Bryant was my favorite player of all time. Like, after Kobe died, I couldn't watch basketball for like 3 or 4 months because it hurt too much to watch. So when I'm having a conversation with my friend, we talked about it, and he had said to me, if anything happens to me, look out for my family, be there for my family. And I say the same thing to him in reverse. Unknowingly, he passed shortly after. So you combine my brother going through his stuff, and mind you, my brother's my hero. Then you add on my friend passed, who has kids, had a wife, and later during that process of trying to be there for everybody, like I'm having conversations with my brother like 2 to 3 hours, fearing like the worst can happen with him every day. Then with my friend's widower, just seeing somebody that had the rest of their life planned with somebody else going through it, still having to raise kids and trying to battle that and being there for her. Then my best friend, his father died. So gotta be there for my mans too. And it was like in late December where I'm smoking, I'm looking outside the window, and my wife could hear me crying. Like, what's wrong? What's
Mhm.
wrong? And I'm just like, man, I feel bad because I don't have like the energy to give everybody what I feel they deserve. Because then you'll have, you know, other people with their issues, and you just want to be there, but it's just like your heart just starts to like cry anytime you get a phone call. Because mind you, I still have in the back of my head like, yo, my brother, you know, he's really going through it. But I
Mhm.
gotta be here for this person. I gotta be there for that person. Who the hell am I to be like, nah, F that. Let me just focus on myself and my problems and not tend to these people who love, trust, and care about me. That was the only point in my life to whereas shit, Mikhail, no, because I just felt as if I was doing a disservice if I wasn't man enough. Sorry about that. I wasn't man enough to be there for my loved ones in their time of need. Like I feel like that was the most I was ever tested. Oh, I forgot, guys. I was planning for a wedding during that time too. I was planning
But
for a wedding during that
hey,
time too.
Icing
hey,
on the
man,
cake.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Planning for a wedding. I mean,
So
that is no joke.
and for those who have been married or been part of weddings, y'all know how much work that is as well.
Well,
So
I mean, I gotta say something though. I mean, first and foremost, the rule of thumb is being a superhero is a young man's game. Period.
Mm.
Ain't too many, Professor X, stayed in a chair. You know what I mean? Like it works that way. And you're talking about a resilience that's probably built in over time, which is a wonderful thing. It has strengthened you, it's giving you a stronger constitution, and maybe you can carry more than others. But there's this famous story of this guy named John Henry, and I mentioned it before that John Henry's story is a one of facing adversity, one that somebody was basically trying to take his livelihood, and he had to stand against a test and win to keep his livelihood. So he's doing what he felt like he needed to do as a man, quote unquote, to maintain the ability to provide for himself and his love. And he championed the cause, but he died minutes after. So it's like, you feel like you can do it because you're still breathing, but you don't realize the physical toll that taking on that stress does to your body. Like those tears, they are connected to relieving some of that stress. It ain't just about what you're going through. It's your body recognizing, kind of like what Sam was saying about when he dropped the kids off, he didn't realize he was crying. The stress of sending his beautiful daughters off into this world without his protection was just too much stress on his biological function that his body released endorphins, and that's through crying. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you, to be safe, should recognize that if you're at a place where you're helping people and you're brought to tears, that's your sign that you need to back off. You've reached your limit.
I'm
You
glad you
understand what
said
I'm
that,
saying?
man. I'm so glad you said that because that was going to be my question to you. It's like, okay, as good people, people that are trying to do good by people. I mean, you he's talking about some of his very best friends. You know, some
Yeah.
of the people that he rolls with, and we all be there. We say things like that, and I don't think we say, "Look, I'm gonna look out for your family" arbitrarily. I think we really mean it. You know, we mean, hey, anything happens to you, I got
We're gonna
your
check up on.
son,
We're
your
gonna, yeah.
children, your wife, whatever, and then those moments come and you have to figure out how to be there for them but still be here, because the
Hmm.
important part of it is you need to be okay in order to be able to help as long as possible. You
yeah.
know what I'm
Right.
saying? You go out here and you overextend yourself, and you stroking out a heart attack or
Right. And now
passing
and
out.
now your family in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like it's about, I think with everything, I think it's about balance, right? As somebody who does that, I am that person. I grew up one of those people that grew up really, really fast, had to work really, really early. Got, have to take care of my brothers and my sister, pay bills early, working on the weekends at Popeyes till midnight, that kind of thing as a kid. But you have to learn, okay, as time goes on, I got older, I have my own kids, I have my own family, I have, other people that are dependent on me. You have to start to learn how to balance so that you can be here for the long haul, because that's what matters. From my perspective, that's what matters.
Right.
No, I agree. I mean, with me being married, and one thing I've always wanted to be is a father. So I understand early that family, my immediate family, and their needs will always come first before anything. Like, because I don't know if y'all ever watched them cop movies where man's married to his wife 20 years, and it's like one last case, and she's like, baby, I want you to stay home, but I know you ain't gonna stay home because the man I married would go out there and solve this crime or find this murder or whatever. There's no convincing you. And if you stayed home, you will be fucking miserable because you'll want to go out there and solve that case.
Yeah.
Like, my wife understands that about me when it comes to my Spencer James type efforts, but she also understands that, and we've had the discussions to where, this is cool right now, but once there's a baby inside of me, like, understand.
Well,
Right.
I'm about to.
I
I'm gonna
mean,
give. I got to give it to him. I got to give it back to you. The same, Warren. I want you to understand something. That you described a movie that is scripted to have a happy ending of some sort of case. In this instance, you're not that character, and you will die. You will stroke out. I'm not projecting that on you. I'm saying that it is physically impossible for you to continue to save everybody. Number one, I help people that ask for help. That's rule number one. If nobody asks for help, then I'm a believe that they got it. You dig what I'm saying? They figured it out. They know what they must do. If they ask for help, I get specific. What do you want help with exactly? Because if you telling me, man, I need somebody to help me out with this rent, I got $500 I'm short, and I'm sitting on $100. Am I the person they need to be talking to?
Not at all.
I'm not. And so, if anything, I probably make some calls and put you in contact with somebody that got 1,000 that can give you 5, because they still able to take care of theirs. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, like Sam said, it's not it's not necessarily the burden that kills you, is how you carry it. And you have demonstrated and explained how you carried it in a way that your body response was, this is too heavy, as evidenced by when you broke down when you were smoking. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the knowing your limitations is the most powerful thing you can learn as a man.
So, like, how, as a man, outside of myself, for those listening, how would they know when outside of crying? How would they know enough is enough, or like the burden is just getting too strong?
I mean, there's only a couple of areas that men are looked to help, and that's financial and or on the emotional component. The emotional component for me is if I'm brought to a place where I've lost my ability to be logical. So stress releases this chemical called cortisol, which cuts off executive function, cognitive function, and your executive function in your brain. Sorry. Um, if I get into a place where I can't do anything except for ruminate over the problem, then I know that I've gone too far. I'm too close to it. You know what I mean? And I can't logically find a solution, because there's always a solution. But when you get too emotionally involved, all solution work stops. So when you get to a place that you can't figure out something, sometimes that means you need to take a step back, take a break, you know, and go do something else. Go shoot ball, go shoot pool, go running, exercise, go have a wonderful meal. Sometimes food, it releases certain chemicals in your body that counteract the stress hormone. So that's what you do.
It's funny you say that. I gained like 10 to 15 pounds during that
I
time.
believe it. I hear you. I feel you. But that's ultimately that's what you're trying to do. That is the emotional component. The financial stuff is you can't spend what you don't have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
anything, if you're gonna ruin your credit and your finances, it better be, worth it. And I ain't never heard it being worth it in somebody else's house.
Oh no.
You dig
I
what I'm
already
saying? So
said
yeah, so
financial.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
ain't
So
know.
the emotional side is where you trip
Yeah.
up at. You have to know that if you get too emotionally involved with other people's problems, that's going to create problems in your own home. That's why your wife drew the line in the sand.
Yeah, I mean, and just kind of listening to you, Mikhail, the beauty of what you said was the from the financial piece, you can't spend what you don't have. And the beauty of that is that's very simple to see. Like somebody
Mhm.
call you asking for something, you're looking at your account, you're like, oh, I ain't got it. It may stress you out for a second, you don't have it, but that's one thing. But from an emotional aspect, it's just very, very hard to draw that like line, right? To say,
Mhm.
oh, somebody needs me right now from an emotional standpoint. I'm not sure. From my standpoint, it's like, okay, well, I'm here. I'm breathing. I'm living.
Yeah. That's how I
And I
looked
think
at it.
that from other people who are probably listening, that it's probably the same. They look at it the same way. It's like, I'm here. So and I promised that I would be here for my boy's wife. I promised I'd be here for my brother and my nieces or whatever. Like I promised that I'll be here for these people. And so when you start to think about that, it's like, yes, the money makes sense. The emotion sometimes is just way more murky than the money example, right?
I would challenge that to say, well, then you don't know yourself well enough, and you're operating from an archetype of what you think manhood is,
Yes, yes.
and
We
not
need to
what it
go
is
go
for
we
you.
need to go into that a little bit more because I think that's the point that I'm trying to make. It's like, we build these bonds as men. You know what I'm saying? We 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 have these conversations. We almost have pacts like that we put together. Like there's certain things that I'm gonna do for my homeboys. You know what I'm saying? Like for my homeboys that I know would do the same for me.
Right.
And then when you face with those situations, you let's just use Warren's example because his friend is no longer here. You're always thinking like, look, if my homeboy is looking at me right now, is he okay with the effort that I put in? Is he
Yeah.
all right with does he feel as if I'm living up to those words I told him when his heart was here, he was living with me, he was sitting next to me. And then I think it's the pressure of that bond, the pressure of that pact, the pressure of that can become, can make it seem as if, yeah, I got a little more that I can give. Yeah, I can go an extra mile. Yeah, I can drive, that extra time to go see his kids, whatever it may be. And so I'm thinking of it from that standpoint. I'm like, man, like this gets deep. When you talk
Yeah.
about the archetype from the man standpoint.
Let's be clear. What I'm definitely not co-signing is you abandoning, your word and being the man that you say you want to be. What I'm asking you to do is to schedule better on when you deal with it. Where you get 24 hours in a day, you supposed to sleep 7 or to at least 8 rather, and rarely get that. We're supposed to work 8 hours, and we tend to work 10. My point is
Yeah.
that outside of those dedicated times, those kids, that family, you showing up is more important than you spending hours with them. Unless it's a planned trip, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like you plan time with them. It doesn't have to be random. It could be like, you know what, I'm gonna at least come by once a month, or I might shoot you a couple of hundred for groceries. Like whatever that is, define it and live up to that. Have a conversation with his spouse, because I don't want to think about it right now, but she's still here, and she may want to have a life that may include somebody else, realistically.
Yeah.
And so, how much of a role should you be playing when you got your own family? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying don't be there for your people. I'm saying define it. Because
I like that.
once you define it, you have something you can live up to. Otherwise, you just pulling shit out your ass like, oh, yeah, I think the kids are like these shoes.
Well,
Oh
and
man,
not just that,
like,
and otherwise, there's no limit. There's
right.
no. It
That's what I'm
goes
saying.
on forever, right?
That's right.
And that's when you can get to the point where it's super taxing and super, overwhelming.
Right. I'll give it to you this way, metaphorically, since I kept saying how you carry it, how you carry the weight.
Yeah.
Like when you go to the gym, when you work out, say you deadlifting, right? There's a proper way to deadlift and an improper way, right? And if you keep lifting the improper way, you're more apt to have injury. And if you get injured, then you won't be able to do the workout at all. And what I'm hearing is that you are planning your support in the way that somebody improperly deadlifts. And if you keep doing it that way, you're going to injure yourself and not be able to show up at all. And then think about the guilt that you'll feel then. Even though you're like, man, my back is this, that, and whatever, or whatever happened that put you under, you still gonna be like, fuck, I'm not there for them. This shit, I heard such happened. Damn. And so now you're dealing with a whole other gambit of emotions that you can't replace those. You can't pour back into guilt or shame, rather. And I just think that's the part you need to be careful about. So plan properly, lift your weight properly, so that you don't injure yourself and take yourself out of the game.
That's actually pretty good sound advice, bro.
But I feel you on that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, say, my brother's situation, that was, a long-term thing. To whereas, like, am I supposed to say, hey, man, I can't talk to you today. I just ain't got the energy for it when you feeling
Warren,
like...
you're human too. And I think that's the part I keep saying to you, being a superhero, I'm not saying you're not a young man. I'm just saying that you got real life going on too. And if he doesn't know that, then, you have to be the warden of your mental health. Sometimes when your family calls, it's not the right time for you. Like it's probably you probably in the worst space. I don't answer the phone if I'm in the worst space. Family, nobody. Because because if I'm not here, would it matter? If you're not here, who your brother gonna call?
No, you're right. But I guess for me, it's just more so, man, it's like, if some shit would have go down, and I wasn't there, like looking in that mirror the next day, there were certain points in my life to where as I couldn't look, it was very challenging for me to look in the mirror. And I'm at a point, and been at a point for some good time, to whereas when I look in the mirror, I smile. And I'm fearful of, if I disappoint a loved one, or if I'm not, who I said I am or have always been. Of course, I know progression, being a better individual each day is the goal. Nobody wants to, well, you shouldn't want to stay the same. You should always want to progress. But if I can't look in the mirror with my decision, I would feel guilty or shame. And like you said, and I know I have things I need to work on, but I do feel as if like I grew up poor, man. Like my word is all I have, and if I said I was gonna do this, like I feel like I have no choice but to do it. And I know
Look,
you'll say you have a choice, but in my
but
I'm
mind,
not
it's
gonna.
like,
I'm not gonna say that.
not that. Bro. Look, this week, and I know this it sounds unrelated, but you said something where it's like if I let my people down, and Will Smith apologized this week
Yeah.
to Chris Rock and Chris Rock's mom and his family. And during that apology, he was saying that his single biggest trauma is letting people down.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, it struck a nerve with me because it's like, yo, you're always gonna let people down. Like that's almost guaranteed. That's
Mhm.
almost a guaranteed thing. And for him to say that that's his single biggest trauma, it's like, yo, he's gonna live his life traumatized.
He struggles daily.
And exactly. And so for what I hear is the same thing I heard him say from what I'm hearing you say. It's like
Mhm.
I just couldn't look at myself if I was to let my brother down one way or the other, depending on what it is. But it's like the time will come. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but the time will come that you will let your brother down, your friend down, your the wife of your friend down. The time will come, and you
but
got to be able to understand that that's just a part of the human experience that Mikhail is trying to say. Look, you a
but
human, man. You're
but
not
there's
a
a difference
you're
though.
not a superhero.
I don't
There's
think
a difference though.
Warren. It's no difference.
Nah, well, let me counteract that in a way to where it's
Okay.
I we lie, so I don't give a f what most people think, what most people think. But as far as like my loved ones, the one I care about the most, like that means something. Now, some random Joe Schmo, some random woman on the street, I ain't give two damns about what they think about Warren Pettis. Like I could care less. Somebody. I care about the listeners. I care about the listeners. But if somebody were to say, "Man, I hate Warren ass," okay, Negro, I don't know you, so it don't bother me. If a random person walked up to me after I did something, it's like, you really let me down. So get over it. That's my attitude. But when it comes to my family, or even if, let's say, I I did something to whereas got my brother upset, I'm not tripping off that. If I felt in my heart that was the right decision to do, but when it comes to like being there, that's my only thing. When it's hey
And
man, it's emergency time,
I
or it
want you.
feels
I
like an
want you.
emergency
Well,
time,
that's
or
what I'm saying. That's the
yeah,
part I'm trying to get at you, Warren. I as much as you love on the others, it kind of shrieks a lesser love for yourself, because it's like you undervalue your existence based on how many people you can help versus the impact that the others would feel if you were gone.
Hello.
That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Like I need for you as much as you love them, I need you to love yourself more so that you can be around and help when you can. You know what I mean? When it is an emergency or duty calls, if you will. But you also have to understand that not every fire is a 5 alarm fire. You know what I mean? So it's some not discretion. I'm thinking it's definitely a space where I want you to see the risk that you're taking by being everybody's fireman and represent what that means to your wife because she gave a vow to be with you. And I don't know what greater love that can be than somebody that's not family to make themselves family by law, no less. Like where's you got to have some responsibility to her, if not for yourself. And that's what I'm challenging you with. Like it's, I mean, that's what I'm challenging you with. You just got to take a step back and recognize that your coping skills that you use as you carry these burdens put you at risk. because because of
I'm gonna tell this story real quick. This is my personal. Me and you have a very similar battle, Warren, and I faced this battle before. Before me and my wife got married, I had to buy my mom a house. I was paying majority of the bills. My mom wasn't, making a whole bunch of money. Um, I was that person that my siblings. I got 3 siblings. That come to because I was the most financially stable. Whenever something happens or they needed something, my brother was in college. My other brother was just kind of getting his footing coming out of college. My sister was back in school doing the master's program. And that you're talking about struggling college kids, struggling mom, and struggling brother coming out of college. And I'm the person they all come to for everything, right? And I got engaged. And my wife sat me down. She's like, okay, so how is this going to work? Like, how are you going to be this person for all of these people and be that person for me? And, as difficult as it was, I had to really take a look and say, okay, well, I want to be married to you. You know what I'm saying? My goal is to be married to you. I want to have a family. I want to raise a family. I want to be here for you. Even more than the ways I'm here for my brother, my sister, and even my mom at the time. I want to be there for you even more than that because you're going to be my wife. And what I started to see is the more I actually reevaluated what I was doing and take a step back, the other people that I was supporting were forced to take a step up. And the more you do that, the more you start to see they are capable of walking longer without you. You know what I'm saying? They're capable of doing things without you. I'm not gonna lie, I found myself worth in that, but then I started to see, like Mikhail said, no, I'm worth it to give it to myself. You know what I'm saying? I am worth it to give it to my future family, my future kids, to give this effort and this emotional energy that I'm giving to my siblings, my mom, the financial energy that I'm giving to my siblings, my mom, to put it into me and my future. I'm not saying you abandon them because my siblings know that they can still call me for anything if they need to. My mom knows that she could call me for anything if she needs to, but I put them all in a position where they understand that my needs come first. Because if I'm not here I'm not here, I can't help them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Mikhail is saying is like, look, you got to understand, like, you matter in this equation. Mm-hmm. You are the most important piece of it. Because once you're gone, then all of that you're talking about, all of the support, everything that you're trying to do is gone with you, and it's not going to stay.
Nah, that sucks. I mean, I understand that from a financial standpoint because it's just
from
easy.
An emotional
like,
standpoint too.
From
an emotional standpoint too,
that's
bro.
the challenge for me.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have to see that the same way because you're gone. From an emotional standpoint, what you are to them emotionally is out the door as well.
Look at it. I mean, my people in a good space right now.
I'm saying that this is good, but it's not even a question to that. I'm saying if you get smoked out, right, because you just dealt with a whole stack of issues. You smoke out, which means it's a practice of escapism. It's basically you're trying to cut off the experience that you went through and relax, right?
Yeah.
That makes you not present at home. You follow me?
Yeah.
Like whenever, like if we hang up and I go and I drink a whole 6-pack of beer because I'm like, man, I'm worried about Warren. Wow, man, I hope that he understood where I was coming from. And I go drink this 6-pack of beer to kind of cut it off. Guess who I'm not present for now?
Those in your house.
Those in my house. And that's what I'm saying. You got to see the value that you bring where you are and have fidelity about that. Protect that. And in protecting that, it makes you stronger because she pours into you. It makes you stronger for your family and friends that you're trying to be there for. But we have to find we like I said, the best way to do it is to have things scheduled out, be specific, and also, write in some time for yourself. That when people call, they're gonna have to, wait for a call back. But you
Yeah.
have to protect you in order to protect others. Because if you're not here, they're exposed.
Yep.
Nah,
Hey, I'm gonna say this to you, Warren, and I think this is before we wrap. I'm gonna say this. I really appreciate you sharing your perspective on this
Or
because I do feel as if this is something that men struggle with. I think we take on these burdens and we think of it as to be honest with you, like even something like okay, my partner dies, being there for his family after he's gone. We think of it as nothing, we don't think of it as much. But it's not until you're doing it you realize, yo, this is heavy stuff. This is a lot. This could be this is taking a lot of my time, or not just it's weighed on you a little more than because you're trying to do what you feel is best. And Mikhail just giving us those tools to at least compartmentalize how do we handle that so that we can carry it in a better way, better space. I mean, it could do wonders for how we're handling this situation all the way around. Because I know as men we feel like we can carry whatever. Especially like people like me, you, Warren, Mikhail. Uh, we we've been dealing with stuff since we were little. You
yeah.
talk about the stuff you've been dealing with since you was a child. You're like, okay, well, there's just another thing, but
Yeah.
it's we still got to be careful about that and be careful about us and ourselves because we're not getting any younger.
that's what I was gonna say.
We're not
It's
getting
a
any younger.
young man's game. You survived it back then because you were young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, all right. So, final thoughts before we wrap, Mikhail.
Nothing else that I could add other than just saying, we all have to find ways to cope with the stress that we face day to day, and in addition to the impacts that happen with people that we care about. But the best way to maintain a true resiliency, not just from young but up into your older age, is to create a pattern of self care. Like, if you're into hobbies, if you just do things that bring you joy. And for the men, even if your women get mad at you for being joyous and you enjoy yourself, you could ignore that. That'll pass.
Yeah.
But definitely find things that you can inject in your life that is joyous, that don't make you um, escape your family responsibilities. So be present. Like if you like golf, go play golf. If you like shooting ball, go shoot, a couple of pickup games and then come home and be present. You might be tired physically, but your body and your mind will be clear
Yeah.
and you'll see it. For those that are not doing anything, you'll see the difference.
What about you, Warren?
Um, More so to the people out there, not just the men. Understand what you can handle. Understand what you can take. Um, be be vulnerable and honest with people if at a certain point you just mentally or emotionally can't handle the situation, but do so in a way to whereas you don't make them feel as if they're being a burden to you, because that's a delicate situation, because being there for somebody but at the same time just not having that energy at that moment, you don't want that person to feel like they can't call or talk to you, because a lot of times when people are in difficult situations, if they're prideful, they'll have that feeling like, oh shit, man, I ain't trying to burden anybody with the shit I got going on, because I'm that type of person. Like, I'm it takes a lot for me to break down and say, I need help. So if I were to call somebody or try to reach out to somebody and they make me feel as if I'm a burden, just like, well, F it, then I just deal with it on my own, and that's not the most mental and emotional right way of doing things. So just having a better understanding of your situation, what you can handle, what you can give out, and when they call upon you, just be understanding. And if you can't deal with it at that time, you know, be delicate in how you deliver that message and follow up. You know, my friend's wife is doing a lot better. The children are doing much better. My brother's in a much
That's
better
good to
space
hear.
now. So, you know, it is a happy story at the
Yeah.
end.
I would like
You
to point
survived.
out
That's
before
right.
I would like to point out before we wrap, and this is not for discussion because we don't got a lot of time. The man who wants to be the Superman for everybody don't ever want to be saved. Just
That's a topic for
interesting.
another day.
It's interesting to hear you say, "Yeah, I don't like to ask for nothing,"
Yeah.
but you also say, I'm the guy that everybody comes to for
Have you been
everything."
talking to my wife?
I look, man. I have one. I have a wife.
Okay.
And for more conversations like these, man, you guys can follow us, You Good Bro Podcast, at Instagram, Facebook, You Good Bro Pod on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for following and listening. My name is Sam Dupe, and I am good.
Hey, this is Tim McHale. I'm good.
I'm Warren P, and I'm good.
All right, and just like that, we out,
We out.
people.
Dro.